sir, my card. Here, take my card. Here's my card. You don't want my card? It is handmade. Well, I've actually had a better response than that to these homemade business cards or contact cards, or maybe people were just being polite. They look at them and say, "Oh, that's different." Well, yeah, they are a little different. Well, today I discovered that I had ran out of my little homemade business cards or contact cards, and so I decided, hey, let's make a batch of them, and it'll be a good opportunity for you guys to maybe do something creative. So what you're going to need is some 2-inch clear packing tape. You don't need a fancy dispenser like this. You can get one of those where it has a little tear-off strip built in. You'll need a razor knife and some kind of a cutting surface. Optional is a corner punch. You don't necessarily need a corner punch. A pair of scissors. One sizz won't work. You got to have a pair of them. Some cardstock to make a little template out of. That helps. Some of these Avery mailing labels, little tiny inch by 3 inches or whatever mailing labels, right? Adhesive labels. And then you're going to need a bunch of advertisement flyers and catalogs, mail order catalogs. How about old Smithsonian magazines? Anything with interesting colors and graphics. We can make our own business card. Oh, a typewriter to type your contact information onto the labels. All right, let's get started. Well, to start with, my tape is 2 inches wide, 2-inch wide packing tape, and that's going to be our lamination method. And so we're going to want to make our cards about 1 7/8 inches wide, a little bit narrower than the tape, and about 3.5 inches long. So you'll need a straight edge or some way to measure that. And I basically cut out this little window out of cardstock because it gives me the opportunity then to find compositions and patterns in our advertisement flyers that will work good as a background to the business card. This one right here is a quick one I made up this morning. I'm using the pattern that I found in a clothing catalog. These clothing catalogs that have larger images, so for instance, you look at this right here. All right, you put your little window right there and you realize, oh, we could make that into a card. Perhaps that'll be like a colorful background to the card. Okay, and so what you want to do is get a little scrap of like spare cardboard or whatever and put it behind it. Get it situated, keeping in mind that your label is going to go in the middle of the card, and so they're going to see more of the edge or the periphery of it. So I'm going to leave a little bit more out on the periphery, and I'm just going to cut that out using my template. You don't have to be all that precise, or if you want to be very precise, it's up to you. So there is one possible candidate for our card. Oh, here you go. Here's a good one maybe. You have these different colored tops, right? And so we can get a little bit of this texture right here, this hangers, the coat hangers, maybe like that. Oh yeah, let's put our cutting piece of cardboard behind it so we don't slice up the magazine too badly. So I like to have a wide variety of different kinds of patterns and colors from different sources to make each business card kind of unique unto itself. Okay, well, there you go. There's another candidate. So besides just catalogs for the purpose of doing business cards, you may know that a few months ago I was doing a lot of zines, and so I started saving cutouts. Like this is some kind of wrapping paper, and this is actually a pretty cool piece. Let's try that. I was going to say, if I was going to be more efficient about this, I would just slice this into rectangles. I can make a bunch of them of the same kind out of one pattern, but I like to kind of vary everything, you know, to make it a little bit, everything different. Every card is kind of unique, right? So, and there. And of course, the rule is when using these sharp razor knives, the rule is don't cut yourself. That's always the basic rule there. Okay, there you go. So we got a couple little possibilities here, right? So let's find one more. perhaps. I happen to have several of these old Smithsonian magazines, and I know some of you guys are probably thinking, oh no, don't cut up the Smithsonian magazine. How dare you do that? Well, I know what you mean, but I'll tell you what, here's a Cadillac commercial advertisement, right? Maybe it's a Chrysler New Yorker. Okay, so Chrysler New Yorker, is this Corinthian leather, do you think? What do you think? Corinthian? Did the city of Corinth have anything to do with that? Well, I think that's kind of cool. Let's mark that, and I can cut that out. Oh, Bic M10 ballpoint. It comes in very handy. And since this is an advertisement flyer, we'll just, we can cut it out of the Smithsonian magazine and not ruin the magazine, right? The rest of it. Corinthian leather. So the other thing you'll probably have to think about is this is going to be one side of your card, but what's on the other side? Well, it's always kind of interesting, right? Because you may want to put a label on both sides. So, for instance, the one I made up this morning, just to show you, I had some colorful fabric pattern on the front side. The back side had another colorful, not quite as colorful, but another pattern, which kind of worked well. These that we've already cut out, of course, this one is just going to be blank on the back side. These will have some other stuff there, some writing and maybe a model's face. It might be kind of interesting, right? Kind of different. Let's get our labels typed up and stick them on there. Sometimes these things will feed crooked, so you got to straighten them out. Also be aware that sometimes when you reverse it, the labels will try to peel off, depending on how big in diameter your platen is. So let's just start there, shall we? Well, okay, so we'll start by peeling off and sticking on these front address labels. Well, they're actually just like contact information. You probably want to get them fairly well centered, and I know my some of these labels kind of got wrinkled in the typewriter. That's just a problem with some typewriters. You'll have to be careful with that. It also depends upon how new your labels are. So decide how you want this to show. I think I want it that way. And the nice thing about hand-typed labels is, you know, they're all a little unique from each other. They're all individual. This one I'm going to raise it up a little bit closer, get some more color around it. Okay, now we will go ahead and turn them over and put the other label on the back side. Okay, now that we have those labels put on both the front and the back side, let's start then laminating. So what I'm going to do is lay it out on a smooth surface, and I'm going to pull out more than enough tape that I need. So I have like a little handle on either end so I don't get fingerprints too badly. And then you want to slowly lower it down even with the edge of the paper, stretch the tape over, and do your little pressing there. Take your razor knife and cut a couple millimeters wide on either side, maybe 1/8 of an inch. If you live in North America, you can do it 1/8 of an inch. Otherwise, you have to do it in millimeters. Okay. There's one side laminated. Let me go do the other side now. So next I'm going to trim the tape so they're just a wee bit, like maybe 1 millimeter or so, protruding out from the edge of the paper, just so the tape, both sides of the tape will stay stuck together and won't come apart in your pocket. Okay. There you go. And now, this is a little touch that I like to do. You don't have to do this, but if you have a corner punch, this is kind of a Très Fancy corner punch I got from Amazon, but they make inexpensive ones at the craft stores. And I like the look of a corner punched business card. This particular corner punch is, for the money I paid for it, is not that good. It doesn't like the tape. It gets gummed up real easy. So you may have to end up fixing that yourself. Well, hey, there you go. A nifty little flexible, semi-water resistant business card. And now we have the other 3 to do as well. Well, there you go. some new cards to hand out to people with my contact information on them. Of course, I only made 5 of them here, but you could, get into like an assembly line operation and get real efficient at it and make dozens of them at a time. And that's what I encourage you guys to do. Collect some of your mail order catalogs, old magazines, advertisement flyers in the mail, anything like that, anything with a colorful background, and you can use it for one of these business cards. You've got to have your packing tape, scissors, straight edge cutting surface, maybe a corner punch if you want to get fancy with it. But so yeah, you might argue the economics of this. Oh, I could go out and buy 500 business cards for $10 from some online printing shop, and that's probably true. You could, but you're not going to get homemade cards where each one is uniquely different, and you put a little bit of hand wrought skill and craftsmanship in making these. And this just touches the surface, really, about what you can do with these cards. I'm sure there's a lot of crafty people out there that have a lot of cool ideas on what to do. And yeah, I encourage you guys, explore this idea of contact cards, business cards, handmade with your typewriter and your address labels. This is a fun idea if you have some time on your hands and you need to do something like that anyways, to get some cards made. Well, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment down below if you can. In the meantime, you stay well, stay safe, stay creative, and have yourselves a great day. Bye-bye for now.